not a wooden one like this. And inside the stone sarcophagus, we found 3 wooden coffins, gilt coffins. And inside the innermost one of them was the mummy of Tutankhamun. So all of them were decorated very much like this. And one of the main decoration must be found, as you can see here, like a form of a face, a human face, you can see the eyes. This is where the head would be laid down. Yeah? So because the coffin or the sarcophagus is closed, so they believe that they can see through the eyes what's happening outside. Yeah? This is what we call the coffin text. Again, it's like sort of a religious text. And here another example of a stone, and you can see the eyes again. So it's like part of the main design of the... Now we get to the Book of the Dead. And the Book of the Dead is like what we saw, the judgment scene. The Book of the Dead, we found in the different tombs in the Valley of the Kings and the Valley of the Queens, more than 200 chapters. And by the way, the Book of the Dead was not the only religious book used by the ancient Egyptians to decorate the tombs or to be left in the tombs. They had lots of other books, but this is the most famous one, and it's the greatest collection. We found more than 200 chapters of the Book of the Dead in clear scrolls, and they were hidden in all these tombs. So here you can see, this is like sort of a coffin, or the form of the body, and the 2 birds here were the 2 ladies we saw in the other judgment scene, the 2 sisters, Isis and Nephthys, and they are coming now in the bird's form. Yeah? So you can see that's Isis, and what Babylon had is a little chair or a throne, yeah? And the throne in ancient language was Isis, later Isis, Isis. So Isis means the throne, as she was the first queen sitting upon the throne of Egypt next to her husband Osiris. And here you can see the tops and the lion's goddess Sekhmet, the goddess of war, and she's also guarding the deceased during his journey to the afterlife. Here we can have another scene from the Book of the Dead. You can see the key of life, and that's the silver disc, and like arms coming out of the key of life holding the silver disc, and these are the 2 ladies again, Isis with the same symbol on her head, but in the human form, and that's her sister Nephthys. That's from the noble tomb, yeah, not from the Book of the Dead, that's from the noble tomb. So that guy was a high official and his wife. You need to notice also the size of the man and a woman. They're almost equal in size, because some people, when I take them around and show them the statues of Ramesses II, we see the lady, Nefertari, like a little tiny figure behind his left leg, and say, well, this is how it was, like men very big and the ladies were very tiny and small. No, it's not the case. That's a different issue. We're not discussing it now, but it's always equal size. We've seen earlier on the statue of a man and his wife, also equal size, and they were like just worshipping the gods in front of an offering table. That was very important also to see in many of the tombs, the offering tables full of food and drink, so can come back to the afterlife and have something to eat and to drink. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Egypt is covering an area of almost 1 million square kilometers and located the very northeast part of Africa. Part of Egypt is in Sinai, and it is mainly desert. Like 93% of the land of Egypt is desert. So the only fertile land, and I'm really touched when people are cruising down the Nile and say, well, we never expect Egypt to be that green. Yes, this is what you see when you are cruising, when you are cruising the Nile, down the Nile, but it's only the Nile Valley. Just, drive for about 15 minutes or something like this, get into the desert and find like endless deserts. So desert and mountain. And they realized that they need stone for building. Because at the beginning they were building upon bricks and wood, and it was not durable, so they thought of using stone, and the guy who invented using stone was one of the most genius architects of the history of mankind. We'll talk thoroughly about him tomorrow when we talk about evolution construction. The genius architect Imhotep Imhotep was the one introduced using limestone, and he was the one designed and built the step pyramids of Saqqara. Yeah? So since then they are using stone, mainly limestone. In most of the cases, limestone, if it's available. If not available, they were very practical, so they didn't spend like much time to go here and there looking for the stone. No. What's available in the area, we have either limestone or sandstone, so if sandstone is available here, it's not very good quality, but we'll use it. So many of the temples were built of sandstone, because limestone was not available. Definitely it's better quality if they can find it. But for making statues, they realized that they need another kind of stone, which is granite. And the granite is not found anywhere else in Egypt but in Aswan, which is, this is a picture of the mountain, particularly actually the mountain of the Valley of the Kings. And I meant to show you the map of Egypt so you can imagine what we're talking about. That green doesn't mean that it's that fertile anyway. But this is the Nile. From the main sources of the Nile, yeah? These are the main sources of the Nile, that's Lake Victoria, and going all the way down, yeah? And here you can see Memphis. This is what I told you about. Memphis is here, right? That's Aswan. We have a different map. That's the Nile in Egypt, yeah? That's Egypt, as you can see here. That's Sinai, Red Sea, Mediterranean. So the Nile in Egypt. That's the Nile in Egypt. You can see the rock formation everywhere. That's the Western Desert, which is joining the Libyan Desert, and it's part of the Sahara. So it goes like desert all the way down to the Atlantic, yeah, except from some oases here and there where the Bedouins live. And the same thing applies for Sinai. So the only fertile land is the River Nile Valley and the desert. Very fertile land. Here another map showing the most famous site. That's the step pyramid of Saqqara. Saqqara, I meant to see how close. And that's Giza. That's the Sphinx. And one of the pyramids of Giza. There are many there. And if you go down, if you go up the Nile, you will find the different temples and tombs in Abydos, which is a beautiful site, most of Luxor. That's Thebes, Luxor, Karnak. Yeah. And then you go further south, Esna, Edfu, Komando, and Aswan, the beautiful temple on the island of Goddess Isis. Okay, that might give you an idea about the location. So Aswan is here, right? That's Aswan. If you want to get the granite from Aswan to somewhere like in Cairo, so you got to transport it all the way down the Nile. They were lucky because they can use the current, because the Nile is running from south to north. Imagine if granite was here and they wanted to transport all the way up the Nile, it would be almost impossible because they made huge, massive statues of the river Nile. That's a clear map. You can see Aswan here, and that's Cairo, Valley of the Kings, halfway. Right, and they used granite for not just making statues, but also for making other things like the famous obelisks. Yeah? The obelisk is like a big needle, as you can see, made of one piece of granite. It's a piece of art. Some of those obelisks were about 350 tons. In Karnak, those in Karnak belong to Queen Hatshepsut. 350 tons made of one piece of granite from Aswan, transported all the way down. Beautifully carved, as you can see. This is the one of Ramesses II Luxor. This is the one of Queen Hatshepsut in Karnak, both in the city of Luxor. See the beautiful carvings of the cartouches and the name of Ramesses II, and obviously here also of Queen Hatshepsut, transported all the way down the Nile, which was, I believe, a great achievement. Not just obelisks, but also sarcophagi made of granite. If it's possible, definitely it's better because it can provide the body with a better protection for the afterlife. And magnificent statues. Maybe you've seen statues before, but that's an amazing size of statue. This is a statue, it's a broken statue of Ramesses II, made of one piece of stone. It's laying down now on its face on the west bank of Luxor, not far from the Valley of the Kings, just outside his mortuary temple, the Museum, and they estimated the statue to be almost 1,000 tons. 1,000 tons of granite transported as one piece. Look at the beautiful carving here. Okay. Where from they got the granite? From Aswan. This is Aswan, and that's the granite quarry. Not just the granite quarry, what do we have here? We have unfinished obelisk. It's the same one by all, like two different pictures, but it's the same one. An unfinished obelisk, still attached to the bedrock. Yeah? And they estimated this one to be 1,168 tons. It's quite unusual size for an obelisk, but they were trying, and they couldn't make it because halfway through we found cracks. You see the cracks? Yeah? So they tried to make the size smaller, but it didn't work, so they left it attached to the bedrock. So from there we got all the granite. For making the statues, we enjoy looking at them now, or the obelisks, or the sarcophagi here and there. Building the pyramids was a great achievement in art, and especially the Giza and Saqqara. This is the sixth pyramid here. Giza and Saqqara pyramids were definitely the most advanced. They built some before and some after, but Saqqara and Giza are the most advanced and most famous as well. Now we come to talk about the different types of art. We have the building of massive tombs, and we have the decoration of the tombs from inside. I chose this because it's one of my favorites actually. It's a tomb called the tomb of Meri Ruka. And Meri Ruka is one of the tombs in Saqqara. It's not a tomb of a king. It's one of the high officials about 2300 BC. 2300 BC. And he built a magnificent tomb. It was like a family tomb. And it tells us about the daily life. The problem is the art coming from the valley of the kings and the valley of the queens. It doesn't tell us about the daily life. It's talking always about the afterlife. But here in Meri Ruka you can see scenes from the daily life, because it was very important for them as high officials to get like sort of documents to take with them to the afterlife. These documents to show that how many animals we owned. So we are expecting the same number of animals in the afterlife. How large the piece of land we owned was. So the same thing. Birds and servants and whatever names. So here you can see some of the servants looking after cows and buffaloes, and here are a collection of birds. Two different styles of art decorating the tombs. What we call the high relief and the deep sunk relief. This is the high relief, and the high relief has more details and far better than the deep sunk relief. When they were decorating the tombs, it's different from decorating the temples, as we'll show you in a second. Decorating the tombs, they had layers of plaster. They were plastering the wall. So in case if they make a mistake, they can refill the plaster and do it again. But when they were decorating the temples, they couldn't have that luxury because they were carving the stone direct. And the decoration actually was always from top to bottom. So they were building first, they were building from bottom to top, and when they finished building, they start decorating from top to bottom. So what they used to do is, if they want to decorate this part of the wall, they have the scene on a small piece of a tiles, smaller scale. And then they have a grid by drawing vertical and horizontal lines. I would like to show you this here. That might be quite clear from the unfinished scenes. They had the grids like vertical and horizontal lines, and they start drawing the outline. You see this face is without eyes, so it's not done yet. And here they've done the eyes, they painted them, and the weights and so on. So that's like different stages. This is also unfinished. So they draw the outlines before doing anything, and then they use usually red or brown color for the outlines. And then before carving, they come to correct. That's the correction, as you can see. They correct the drawings, first, to make sure that they are not making any mistakes. So the correction is done by the chief. And the carvers, when they come later, they check. If it's a double line, red and black, so they go for the black one, which is the correct one by the chief. If it's a single line, so they go for the single line, meaning check that it's all right. So I want to show you this correction, then we go back to Saqqara and Middle Kingdom. Here is a beautiful scene, actually. This is just painted, not carved. And the painting was used when they had no time or no ability to spend much time or effort on carving the scene. And that's quite the theme of the Middle Kingdom. The Middle Kingdom was a very poor kingdom. It was not like the Old Kingdom or the New Kingdom. So they had very primitive tools, and the decoration was, as you can see, just painted on the wall. And this scene is showing non-Egyptians. Those are Asians, Asiatics. They were believed to be from Asia Minor, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq. And they were coming to make offerings to the Pharaoh to show their loyalty to the Egyptian throne. Here you can see like also collection of some scenes of some of the workers and some of the artists making either statues or jewelry or different things here, or carrying stuff to the field or to the tomb. So it's also painted. Now we move to the jewel of paintings, which is the Valley of the Kings and the Valley of the Queens. That's the way up to some of the tombs in the Valley of the Kings. In the Valley of the Kings we have 62 tombs, beautifully decorated. Some of them are very deteriorated. This is from the inside of the tomb of Ramesses III. Not a son or a grandson of Ramesses II, but he was also named Ramesses, one of the greatest pharaohs. And these are two pictures from the tombs in the Valley of the Kings. In the Valley of the Kings, and here we see our lovely friend Isis and her sister Nifty. So understand how important the legend of Isis and Isis. So is talking about them and God Osiris. Here Nifty is sitting upon the throne next to Horus, and the standing one here is Amun-Ra in the ram-headed form. This is from the Valley of the Kings. We've seen this, the unfinished and the correction. Now, I told you about decorating the temples, which is different. This is from Karnak and Abydos. Here is Nefertari, and Nefertari is accompanied by Goddess Hathor. Goddess Hathor, the cow goddess, the goddess of love, music, dance, and joy in ancient Egypt. The gods in ancient Egypt had different forms. So here we can see Hathor in the human form as a beautiful lady, and she's wearing the two horns of a cow flanking the solar disk. It's a piece of art. The decoration of the ladies here, look at their bodies and how slim and the beautiful dress and the wigs and the crowns and the lovely paintings of the letters. But this is mainly painting. While if we go to this scene from Abydos, again our friend Isis, the one who's standing here was Seti I. Seti I was the father of Ramesses II, who built this magnificent temple in Abydos, and he's holding like a column or a pillar, what we call the Jed pillar. The Jed pillar is the backbone of Osiris, and that has something to do with the resurrection of Osiris from the dead. Osiris was the husband of Isis, and the king was representing Horus in his first life When he's dead, he will become Osiris. So he is becoming Osiris, and he is there in the resurrection of Osiris. Anyway, you can see here the decoration. It's high relief again, and it's very similar to the tombs, but the difference is that here they have no chance to correct the mistakes. If they make a mistake, there is no chance to correct it, not like in the tombs. Here they found the clearer picture from a Greco-Roman temple. And Greco-Roman temples were built by the time of the Greeks, about like 2,000 years ago. 100 BC, 200 BC, those are the two temples of Edfu and Khummu. Alright. It might be quite clear to see the difference between the carving here, that's like deep sunk in the wall, and this is high relief. You can sense now the Greek influence. Yeah? Let me take you back to the previous slide. See the labels here. That's Pharaonic, Egyptian style, and here is a Greek style. So the carving or the forming of the bodies, either for males or females, by the time of the Greeks, although the artists were Egyptian artists, we can reflect the influence of the Greeks on art, which changed over the years. So here the two ladies were the goddess of the Upper Nile and the Lower Nile. This one of Lower Nile, of the north, and she's wearing the white crown. This lady is called Wajet, and this one of the Upper Nile with the white crown called Nekhbet. The two ladies are holding firmly the double crown, which is combination of the white and the red by the king here. So holding firmly the crown as if they are crowning him and approving that he's the ruler of Upper and Lower Egypt. Look at the belly buttons here. Look at the legs. These ladies are wearing like sort of transparent dresses, so you can see actually the details of the legs from underneath. Yeah? The same thing is for the male figures here. They're wearing like short kilts or what you call shindig, but you can see the details of their bodies, very different from the ancient Egyptian or from the Pharaonic style. Again, back to the tomb of Mary Ruka from Saqqara, which is again one of my favorites, because this shows actually another style of art. Was not just decorating the tombs, but also making great collection of jewelry. And here you can see the jewelers making necklaces, bracelets, lots of things. Here they are wearing gold and precious stones. Here you can see them making glass bottles or blowing the glass. So this is again high relief from the old kingdom, from the tomb of Mary Ruka in Saqqara. The workers, that's from the Valley of the Workers in Luxor, which give us a great deal of information about life in ancient Egypt. The workers were allowed to build their tombs. They had a wonderful life. They were highly appreciated because those artisans, those artists, were number one, talented. Number two, they were well trained and well educated. Number three, they were highly appreciated by the king and the royal family because they are doing a great job. They are building the houses of eternity. So they should be rewarded for that. So they never got killed or buried alive, like what's written in some of the books about ancient Egypt, that they used to bury the builders of the tombs alive, so they don't tell anybody about the location of the tomb. No, they trusted them, they took their precautions, but they respected them and they give them more privileges than the others in ancient Egypt. So one of the privileges was to have the ability and a chance to build their own tombs. So when the artists built their own tombs, they decorated their tombs showing what they do in their first life. So here you can see some of the workers doing sort of training sessions. So the training of how they make some of the little statues or the little figures. Here you can see making one of the Sphinx statues, and they mentioned this written actually that they had trainings, and we found remains of their drafts about the training in that village, the workers' village. Comparison again between Abydos, the temple of Pharaonic temple, and a Greco-Roman temple. Here you can see the difference. This is like deep sunk relief, and this is like high relief, but also the style of art is very alive, more than the style of art of the ancient Pharaonic. Again, Karnak, that's Seti the first, the father of Ramses II, kneeling and receiving the ankh from the god Amun-Ra, deep sunk relief, and here you can see Komombo, the high relief with more details. The famous couple, Akhenaten and Nefertiti, who introduced the new religion, and as art was very important to express everything in Egypt, expressing religion, expressing politics, it was the best way to express everything in ancient Egypt. So, and I think until now, everywhere. So Akhenaten and Nefertiti invented a new religion, and the new religion put its own influence on art. It's what we call the Amarna. The Amarna, or the Amarna period of ancient Egypt. It's about 1400 BC. The famous Queen Nefertiti, and maybe you will remember her beautiful bust from Berlin Museum with the blue crown, and her husband Akhenaten. They led a great revolution, and they didn't actually have a chance to survive longer than 16 years on the throne. We don't know much about what happened to them, if they got killed or assassinated or run away from the country. But the one who succeeded them was the famous King Tut, Tutankhamun. And we can easily say that the Amarna style of art, which is very different from what's before and what's after, because as I said, the ideal form was very important, while the Amarna shows the king with a little belly, with a very long neck and long face, and it will be quite obvious when we see Akhenaten. That's Akhenaten. Look at his face. He doesn't look handsome like his father. That's his father, by the way. That's his father. See how handsome he was. And Akhenaten believed that it doesn't matter how you look like, because the God doesn't look at your face. The God looks in your heart. So we don't know if Akhenaten was deformed in a way or another, or the artists of Akhenaten were exaggerating and went to the extreme to show that whatever the king is depicted on the wall doesn't matter. So he looks ugly, he looks deformed, he looks whatever. So until now we are not sure, was he exactly as he looked like, or was just an art style? I would go for the extension of art style, because the same thing applies for his wife as well. Look at the different shape of a body, which is very different from what we saw earlier on. The Amarna style and religion believed in the god Atum. That's the god Atum, and a huge change in the mythology of ancient Egypt then, because in ancient Egypt they believed in many gods, more than 2,000 gods, but they always believed in a main god, who is the god Amun-Ra. Amun-Ra is me. That's the animal form of Amun-Ra, and was like a ram-headed god, while Akhenaten believed in Atum, and you can notice the name Akhenaten means the follower of Atum, the messenger of Atum, and Atum is the name of the god. So, because they are used to have a form of a god, yeah, so they wanted to have some, but they don't want to have a statue, because Atum is different. They wanted to say that Atum is different. Atum is not like any other god we worshipped before. Atum is the hidden power behind the solar disk. and he cannot see Atom because he's behind the solar disk, and the solar disk is very strong, you cannot see through. So if you want to really see God, you should feel the power of God and the existence of God in everything. Look at yourself, look at the mountains, look at the sea, look at the river, look at the animals, look at anything, and you see and you feel the power of God. So to represent the God in the form could be easily understood by the ancient Egyptians, who will used to have forms of statues. So they have this form of Atom, like a solar disk, and the sun rays are coming out, and with human hands, these are like little human hands, you can figure it out. The human hands are holding the keys of life. Yeah? The key of life, which looks like a cross or like a big key, it's giving life, and pointing the key of life to the nose of the king. See that? That's the figure of the king, holding gently and nicely one of his daughters. They got like 6 daughters, while that's the famous Nefertiti. Nefertiti is holding also 2 more of those. Look at the expression on the children, like the daughters. One of them is pointing the mother, and this one is pointing the father. Yeah? So it seems like, the girls are jealous that the father is carrying this girl and the mother is carrying the other one, and so on. That's quite abnormal to see a scene like this of the royal family in their daily life. Usually you see the kings with guards, very formal, like Queen Elizabeth now. Yeah? Very formal. You don't know much about their life. But Akhenaten and Nefertiti changed everything. Changed politics, changed religion, and changed art. So that's an example. We've seen this briefly. That's the statue. That's the Egyptian Museum, by the way. Statue of Amenhotep and Queen T, the parents of Akhenaten. And that's Amenhotep and Gotsobek. That's from the Luxor Museum. Beautiful statue made of alabaster, which is the Egyptian marble, and quite unique because we don't have that big size of a statue made of alabaster, because alabaster is very soft. And we see that the God is holding the key of life again, as if he's pointing out to the nose of the king. Here you can see the great difference between the son and the father, Akhenaten. And again, as I told you about the personal life of this family, here we can see Akhenaten sitting and carrying one of his daughters and kissing her. That's a very intimate scene. You don't see it if we talk about the royal family. And here is like a procession of worshipping the god Atum, and as you can see, the holding flowers, the lotus flowers, the king, queen, and the girls. 2 of the girls. They didn't show all of them, but only 2 of them, as if it was like a family affair, all of them going to the temple, not just the king like before or like after. Although Akhenaten and Nefertiti disappeared from life and the religion was destroyed completely, it seems that the Amarna style of art survived after Akhenaten, because here, this is our famous king, the golden pharaoh, Tutankhamun, King Tut, sitting casually upon the throne. And that scene is on the throne of Tutankhamun. That's the throne of Tutankhamun, and it's in the Egyptian Museum. He's sitting, as you can see, casually. Yeah? He has all the self-confidence. I don't care about anybody looking at me. So he can feel, or he can sense the Amarna style also in the shape of the body. And here you can see that the female figure of his wife, also very much similar to Nefertiti. So the Amarna style of art survived for maybe a couple of decades after Akhenaten. Then after the Amarna, we turn back to the usual style. And as art was important to express their feelings and tell us about their religion, it was very important also to tell us about their achievements, and mainly the military achievement by the king, because he wants to take everything with him to the afterlife. So this scene is from the Battle of Kadesh, and it was a famous battle between the ancient Egyptians by Ramesses II and the Hittites. The Hittites were originated in Asia Minor, And here you can see that's from Abu Simbel in the south of Egypt, and the king is acting as a soldier, and he's killing one of the Hittites and trampling another one on the floor. So like battle scene, another battle scene here from Kadesh, and that's like firing an arrow on the enemies. That's from the time of Ramesses III. The sea people who came from the different islands in the Mediterranean, and they were conquering Egypt from the north. So understand that art helped a lot also in documenting and reporting all the achievements in the first life to take it with them to the afterlife. Again, from the workers' village, we have beautiful scenes telling us about their daily life, how they were irrigating. I don't know if you've heard of this or not, but this is what we call shadoof. Shadoof is a very primitive element used for irrigation before inventing the water wheels. So the shadoof is like a little jar, as you can see, and a rope, and they drop it in the water very, very manually. Yeah, they irrigate the land, and mainly irrigation was once a year, so they didn't need like modern machineries or whatever like what we need now. When the Nile comes in a great inundation, it floods the banks, and this is the irrigation season, then they grow crops. But just in case it's needed more water within the year, they can use this primitive way, the shadoof. So how do we know about this? We couldn't find the shadoof, but we found some scenes like this one showing how they were irrigating the land. So it's very important to tell us about their daily life. Again, you can see some of the scenes here, like about fishing and about collecting the seeds and so on in the farms or in the ranch. A quick comparison between the workers' tomb and the king's tomb. Here they are focusing about their first life. So you see farming. Yeah, the man and his wife are farming, and you can see like palm trees. This is what we want to have in the second life. We had this in the first life. We want to have it in the second life. While the king is very formal, and he's reporting to the gods. The god is pouring in the key of life. This is like quite normal to see in the king's tombs, and that's quite normal to see in the workers' tombs. So again, it's to tell us about their daily life. In workers and kings, quite obvious the difference. So the workers had the ability and the chance to decorate the tombs, so they were not discriminated or they were killed after building the tombs or anything like what you hear or read in some of the books. Well, that was my last slide. I know that we can keep talking and talking about whatever subject, but I just wanted to make it as short and sweet as possible, and I hope I give you enough information about art in Egypt. Maybe if you have any questions, we can discuss it together. Yes.
There was one picture of that was almost on fabric. It was the gold background. Was that still on stone?
I mean the throne.
He's on the front throne very casually.
Yeah.
What is that style? What's the material?
That's wood and gilded.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a wooden chair and gilt leaves.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so do we have any other questions? Okay, great. All right, thank you very much. Thank you.
I have been reading art in almost 3,000 years. Do join us if you can tomorrow and for the rest of the series. And also, if you'd like to enjoy a few refreshments on the way out. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are all of the events here the same?
Oh, I think I mentioned that. The last two will be at St. John's. The one in Sunday morning will be before the service, which starts at 10. The talk will be at 9, and then the evening, Monday evening, we'll have another one at 7:30 at the church in New York.
Yeah.
So please join us. Thank you.